Hi guys, so I'm going to be talking about Battlefield 5 today and some of the controversy that came along with the reveal trailer for this game. So when the reveal trailer launched for this game, I personally thought it was pretty cool, but a lot of people found some issues to gripe about. And the like to dislike ratio on the YouTube video of the trailer itself really kind of demonstrates that. It's got about a 50-50 like to dislike ratio, and if you've ever seen any video game trailers, you know that's pretty abhorrent as far as just reception. So there was a lot of girls in the launch trailer running around, and people, the critics of that decision, were all saying that it's a World War II game. It's supposed to feel like, World War II. And that women running around with prosthetic arms and katanas on her back, that's not exactly, it doesn't evoke World War II in the minds of those particular people. So I'm going to talk about the specific sort of system they got in place. So you can change your character to be a set of women or a set of men. And one of the big things about that is that there are certain skins that you can buy for your character that are they're legendary skins is what they're called, and you have to buy them to play these specific characters, right? And sorry, there's I'm actually playing this while I'm doing this, so it's kind of hard to focus on both. But so you have to pay money for these skins, right? And they are very particular, and there are, there's a Japanese lady, she's got a headband on. There's a couple of females for the German side. There's a couple of females for the British side. And people like to say that, it doesn't really feel like a World War II game. And I would like to contrast the system that Battlefield 5 put in place with the one that DICE decided to go with in Battlefield 1. So in Battlefield 1, there were certain characters that were females, but you could only ever pick your class, and your class would determine which character you play. So all the support characters, that's the class I'm playing right now, all the support characters on a certain team look the same, all the snipers on a certain team look the same, and some teams had historically accurate portrayals of women in their classes. So the Russian sniper, for example, is a female. And there are female story characters as well, but, it's a Battlefield game. People really don't play Battlefield for the story mode. But I believe that Battlefield 1 did it pretty well, because you could pick the character right, but you could still tell what the character was just at a glance. If they had crutches on their back, well, they were a medic. If they had a certain look to them, you could tell what class they were. And for me personally, gameplay is most important, not really, if I'm playing a woman or not. I don't really care. As long as I can, have a coherent game in front of me that I can tell what's going on and acquire information as quickly as possible, that's important to me personally. So if I saw a female that was bald on the battlefield on Galicia, for example, which is in Russia, I knew that that was a sniper, and that might be a sniper on the enemy team because she's the female, right? So I know that she's an enemy, and I know what kind of character she is and what class they're playing, so I can know best how to deal with the situation. The thing that messes with me in this game is that you can't really tell what class anybody is at any time. See, like that guy right there, it tells you right above their head. But at a glance, say if you're playing hardcore mode, you can't tell. And it shows up too late. See, right there, his class didn't show up until it was way too late. And in that situation, it didn't really help me out either way, because he had to drop on me. But in certain situations, you might want to know, who you're fighting. If you're fighting a medic and a bunch of supports, well, you're going to want to take out the medic first, because, well, they're going to be able to heal the other guys, and that might be not advantageous to you. But another thing about the diversity in this game is that it really seemed kind of gimmicky, and it really seemed like the advertising team had more say in the process than the development team themselves. Because when that trailer first launched, the females were very heavily, they were heavily featured in the game, in the trailer, and you couldn't really tell who was who. Sorry, I'm getting killed again. But it was just like, it seemed kind of gimmicky to me. It seemed like they were just focusing on the fact that, oh, we're really trying to be inclusionary. And one thing that kind of put everybody off is that when confronted with the new system, one of the developers of the game said, well, what am I going to tell my daughter in 20 years when I make a game that only features men? And a lot of the critics of that said, well, you made a World War II game. So, I mean, 99 point whatever % of people that fought in World War II were men, you know? So a lot of people complained about historical accuracy, and other people accused those people of being sexist just because they didn't want women in their video games. I don't necessarily think that holds too much water, because I don't think it's necessarily about sexism. Like, Battlefield 1 portrayed women, but it portrayed them in a pretty historically accurate sense. And that's not to say that Battlefield games are always going to be completely historically accurate, because they're not. There was one Battlefield game is called 2050, I believe, and it took place in the future, and there was a whole bunch of stuff. But I feel like they were really trying to catch some of the clout that was going along with the battle royale fad that was going on, and this is still going on to this day to an extent. But one thing that bothers me about this game particularly is that when they realized that they weren't going to have the player base that they thought that they were going to get via that advertising campaign, they really kind of abandoned the game, and I don't think that's right. And I guess the shareholders got to make their money right, but it seemed like they really weren't actually trying to hold on to their player base. And yes, people who are not male obviously do play shooter games, and I don't think that they should be excluded by any means. I just think you want a game that makes sense. You want a game that's coherent. Sorry. And you want a game that really feels like the whole team was on board with what they were doing. So it's just, I believe it's important to have diversity in games, and obviously you can be black characters, you can be Asian characters. Especially if you're on the Japanese side, you're going to be a Japanese person. But say for the example, the Germans in this game, as you might be able to see there at the top, they don't even use the swastika. So I think it's a smart, business move. Obviously, well, if you want to sell your game in Germany, you can't really have swastikas in the game. So I think they made a right call with the Germanic symbolism that didn't exactly evoke Nazism. So they don't necessarily have to have swastikas in the game. But a lot of people were upset about that too. And that, I don't really think it's erasing history, because obviously DICE has made games with swastikas in the past. So I don't think that's necessarily the biggest issue. But it's kind of funny when you see a bald woman running around in a German Nazi uniform, and that obviously did not happen in real life. Well, anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this. So y'all have a good day.